Welcome back to a special episode of the Northern Steel Podcast. Northern Steel Podcast episode 11, sponsored by your mom. We are here just chilling in the basement, and we got nothing to talk about, man.
Absolutely nothing at all, Dom, which is...
Don't move that away.
Oh, okay.
Get it close.
Which is exactly why we thought we'd do something to keep ourselves entertained, mostly ourselves, because we're going to try to keep you entertained, but we don't, like Dom said, have really a lot to chat about. So
what we're going to do is we're going to play some Rocket League, and we're going to... Sorry. We're going to play some Rocket League, and we're going to kind of talk about some Steelers stuff. As you can see, I have a Steelers car.
Ooh.
If you're watching, and if you can't see it, it's because this is a podcast. Now, what I want to talk about, obviously, first, a little brief thing is we had rookie minicamp last week, Chris. And in rookie minicamp, I wish there was more action to see.
I always feel like it's a little tough because you are just wanting so much information and you just want to see videos of all of our rookies. And about the closest thing you'll get to that is an exclusive interview. However, I feel like I've just been seeing the bare minimum of, oh, here's a clip, or here's a clip of Kenny handing off the ball. And people are like, wow, look at Kenny. He's ready for the NFL. And I'm like, all right.
Sure am. Why is this controller so loud? I was hoping to see some... Oh, good job, Chris. I was hoping to see some great shots or some great catches from George Pickens, from Calvin Austin. But it's just football in shorts. It's okay. They're just getting acclimated to the team. I think one thing I did actually like about it, that was all you, Chris. Good job. One thing I did like about it is that Kenny Pickett has a very leader attitude. That's what I keep hearing at camp, is that he just seems poised. He seems ready to go, ready to be QB1. I mean, he should feel that way. He is 25. So it doesn't really shock me much. But I'm excited for OTAs to start. I'm excited for actual training camp to start, to see some sweet videos, some action potentially. And I'm just talking to a wall here.
And I think you and I are both just, it's kind of like how everyone's feeling right now. We're eager, Steeler Nation is so excited. Maybe a little bit too much head in the clouds from what I'm getting from some people, and very pessimistic from a bunch of other people. But I think I'm just mostly excited because this is the first year where there's so many unknowns. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be at quarterback. We assume that's going to be Kenny Pickett, but we don't know.
I wouldn't assume that.
All right,
we have Mitch.
We do have Mitch.
Don't just assume that it's going to be Kenny Pickett. He is a rookie.
You know what they say about assuming?
You're wrong.
I am mostly wrong.
That's exactly what they say.
So, I don't know. I think everyone's just eager to kind of get the season rolling. If you are like me and my brother, we just honestly, once season ends, we're like, wow, is it the next football season already?
Yeah, I definitely want the season here right now.
And I definitely wish that your controllers would stop making Rocket League noises.
I do too. I don't know why it's doing that, but you know what?
Hey, we'll just roll
Carpe
with it.
diem, as the Pittsburgh Steelers say.
Is that what they say? Wow, that was pretty awful.
Good save.
So I'm about to save myself on that goal. And in today's podcast, we thought it'd be kind of a good idea, since we have literally no content to talk about, is going over some of the questions of the day. I feel like, first off, I want to talk about our Twitter page. It's been popping off in our opinions, because we literally, about a week and a half ago, we had about 29 followers, and just kind of, grinding with it. We've managed to get up to about 116, which is awesome. And it's just been so cool to kind of see Steeler Nation reach out and talk to us and get to know more people. So thank you, everyone who is following, and to those of you who are hesitant, I mean, please do. We're just looking to build this community and Steeler Nation. Yeah. Anyway,
We're getting rocked, by the way.
We are.
For all you listening at home, getting absolutely spanked.
For the people who stream and play, I honestly give them a lot more props because
Talking.
I feel like I need to focus so much more on playing, and talking is literally impossible. So
yeah, it's hard for you to do when you're not even playing.
Oh, look at that. We just need to, speak it into existence.
Easy peasy.
I am an Aquarius.
Before you get into some questions on the podcast, and maybe this is part of your question too, but the only a little bit of Steeler news, like a little crumb that was given to us, came from Antonio Brown, tweeting that he just wants to retire a Steeler, and people start freaking out. Is Antonio Brown coming back? Is he going to join the Steelers and end his career there? And then he followed it up 14 minutes later with a tweet that said, not play.
Just retire, so we're clear. It's interesting that you bring that up because I am so iffy on that. And I feel like, which I think a lot of Steeler fans are, but personally speaking, Antonio Brown is arguably the best Steeler wide receiver to ever play. And now I'm not talking attitude-wise or team effort because
why would you?
Because that's just not a thing with him. And I think that would obviously go to Hines Ward. And I think a lot of people would agree to that. Yep, I guess we are forfeiting this match. It's very interesting because what he did in Pittsburgh was nothing short of incredible. And especially in that 5-year run with Ben where he just absolutely went off and was the best wide receiver in the NFL, it's hard to look past that in those numbers. What are you doing?
I didn't do anything.
Okay. Well, there's a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are starting Rocket League back up. I guess things are no longer recording, so you're just going to hear our voice. There's going to be a little bit of technical difficulties. Dom will probably put a picture of our face or something on here. But anyway, back to it. So with today's podcast, if you follow the Twitter page, you realize that I go on there and I try to ask a question of the day. I figured since there's not a lot of content going on, we might as well just go ahead and bring up these questions of the day. Followed by giving shout out to a lot of you guys who have replied and kind of discuss what we felt about people's replies, what we feel about our own question itself, because sometimes we ask these questions because we're looking for certain answers. We feel a certain way, and we just kind of want to see how the rest of Steeler Nation feels about it. So, without further ado, we are going to go back in and play. But we'll start off with question 1. Relating back to the Antonio Brown news, I asked, with all the talk surrounding Antonio Brown, if he would have never left Pittsburgh and stayed on good terms with the team.
You said good terms.
Yep, I did. I was typing it fast. What do you think his career numbers would look like?
It's a tough question. I mean, Antonio Brown never really had a down year, even in 2018, as we're kind of had a losing year. I guess that was his most down year in yards, but he still had 15 touchdowns. So tough to say, really. I'm so sick of this sound. I wonder if it's an audio. Also, in 2019, Ben was out the entire time. And in so he's playing with Mason and Duck. That doesn't help anybody. In 2020, we were went on that big long undefeated streak for a long time, but Ben wasn't playing very well. He played through a lot of shorts and stuff. He played kind of good for a little bit, right? But along the way, something. But would that change with a player like Antonio Brown? Because we're throwing to Claypool, throwing to Deontay Johnson. 2020 is also Deontay Johnson's big drop year too, when he's dropping passes all the time. So what is going on? So would we the thing is like I don't know what his yards or his stats would continue to be because I think our team diminished fast in these past 3 years, like very fast. I'd imagine he still would have wanted to leave. His contract would have been up, and he's like, "Yeah, I can see the writing on the wall. This sucks."
And I was thinking a lot about this question too, and I think that if he would have stayed, I agree with you partly to where the team was kind of deteriorating, and we did have those off years of not having Big Ben and having to rely on Mason and Duck Hodges, but. Antonio Brown was such a presence and such a fiend out on the field to where, it would be hard not to just force him the ball as Mason and Duck and to kind of see how things play out for themselves. I will say I do think that he would definitely be the all-time leader for the Steelers. I just think with the way that he played and his career, it's.
How many more yards did he need, truly? Like 2,000-ish? 3,000
Because what did Hines Ward end with? 1,200?
Oh, if he had 1,200, so you need like 4,000-ish.
Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. I know he had 1,000 receptions, so which I don't think Antonio Brown was really far off from that number either. But, I mean, it's hard to say, and I think, he was kind of Ben's safety blanket for a lot of years, and all I know is I feel like if he would have stayed and played throughout everything, he definitely would have retired once Ben called it quits after this year.
Is he would have retired?
I think he would have, yeah. I mean, he's talking about retiring right now, and if he...
But his career is way different right now. Like, way different.
Yeah,
with all the BS he's kind of done to every team he's been on. His team, he's in a way different place right now than this hypothetical situation where potentially AB is a good model teammate and a good boy. Oopsie daisies. So it's tough
hard
to say.
To know.
Yeah, it's tough to say that he'd be retiring now. I think he would lead the team because our team's not looking like it's going to be very good, right? So I think he would leave, but I don't know if he'd retire.
But this is under the assumption that he would stay. And he would retire.
No, I meant like after Ben is retiring, he would leave because he sees the writing on the wall.
But even that being said, like, still 12 years of his career, like as a wide receiver. I know.
I suppose.
I don't know. It's tough to say. Anyway, I would like to go into some of the responses that we got from some of our followers. So the first one is. A guy who's kind of been with us through it all. His name is Big Slime with 3 eyes. Go ahead and check him out on Twitter. But he said he would have easily been the greatest Steeler wide receiver of all time, like I also said. And regardless of championship, he would have been a no-brainer Hall of Famer. Which, Tom, how do you feel about the Hall of Fame discussion with Antonio Brown?
I think I don't know about no-brainer, but he's probably pretty close to a Hall of Famer right now.
Yeah, and if he would have stayed with Pittsburgh and been, good with the team and everything,
it might have been. I mean, that would make it. I think that might make the case stronger. You might say that a ring makes it stronger, but the Hall of Fame is pretty fickle, man. I don't know if Hines Ward's going to get in. He deserves to get in. I don't know if he will get in. And the Hall of Fame held T.O. out of the Hall of Fame for a very long time for his quote-unquote antics. But if you want to compare T.O.'s antics to what Antonio Brown has done the past couple of years, to me, there's no comparison.
Yeah, I agree.
Oopsies. The worst thing T.O. did was work out in his driveway, shirtless.
Which don't we all do that from time to time?
And that doesn't even scratch the surface to what AB has done the past 4 years.
Answer my question. Do you work out shirtless on your driveway?
I don't ever go shirtless ever.
And I don't work out.
In the shower? In the sleeping? Never.
I'm just too self-conscious.
I really am.
That was a nice goal. Anyway, and I only decided to choose a couple of replies or else I feel like this would go on forever. But the next comment we got was from @AllProAddison. and his was very short and sweet, but he said Jerry Rice like numbers, which it's a very interesting concept. But it kind of like the things we brought up and about having a declining team and a declining Ben and going after injuries. I don't know how long Antonio Brown would have been in the NFL if he would have stayed with us, if he would have went to another team, what his situation would be. But we got to remember that Jerry Rice was in the NFL for 20 seasons?
A long time.
Very
long time.
Not only saying that, but he also had like 1,000-yard receiving seasons into his last final years.
Right.
I think that's why everyone considers Jerry Rice the best wide receiver of all time, is just because he's got the numbers to back it up. And it's not like he really declined towards the end of his career. He still put up numbers. He still made himself a presence up until the end. So it would have been interesting. I know that was a big talk kind of back with Ben and whatever, but I don't know. It's hard to say that he would put up Jerry Rice-like numbers. So
consistency is key for Jerry Rice-like numbers.
Maybe if we had like a 2007, 2008 Ben Roethlisberger, then sure. If he would have stayed that way throughout the rest of his career, then yeah, I could see maybe him getting closer, but it's hard to say.
Why must you go for the ball that I go for?
I thought I was going for it, and I'm pretty sure you
clearly behind me.
You listen,
clearly behind me.
We could argue about this all day, but the point is...
clearly behind.
Okay, you're about to be quiet once I do this amazing aerial right here. You ready?
Yep.
All right, cool.
That's what I'm done.
There it was.
Next question, moving on.
All right, so the next question I asked, because obviously, like we said, rookie mini camp just happened. So I wanted to ask the question, with rookie mini camp coming to a close, I can't help but think about last year's rookie class. Which Steeler player do you think will have a breakout sophomore season? What do you think, Dom?
Breakout is the key word there, because Najee had a really good season, and I think he's going to have a better season. But, what's a breakout compared to a 1,000-yard rusher already?
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
A 2,000-yard rusher? It's hard for me to say Najee. Freiermuth had a great year. Maybe he's a candidate for a breakout season because Ben never threw over the middle of the field, especially in his older age, and that seems to be, if he starts, that seems to be all that Kenny Pickett wants to do, is throw over the middle of the field. That is where he excels, is throwing over the middle of the field. So this could be time for him to shine, maybe. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think... I kind of feel you with the breakout thing, especially with Muth, because even though I feel like he's very limited with what he could do because of a declining Ben Roethlisberger, the numbers that he put up, especially compared to other rookie tight ends, were really good. And I was not upset by his numbers at all. I do think he could have an even better sophomore season with the maybe opening up that playbook now and being able to send them down the middle of the field and a lot further down the middle of the field than 4 yards. But
hey, you never know.
It'll be interesting to see. We got a couple of replies from this. A guy that we've really kind of hit it off with, I feel like, and someone we've been chatting with a long time, coming all the way from London, England. It is at Pickens _era. He said Muth for sure. He can see him being our number one target in the red zone. I don't know. I agree with the red zone thing. I think tight ends are so valuable, especially in the red zone. And, Muth being the size that he is, I think he could be a really good target for Kenny Pickett or whoever is at quarterback.
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but sometimes I hate that phrase. Can be good in the red zone. This isn't a knock against who replied, obviously, but sometimes I don't like that phrase because when you think about our receivers, we have so many quote unquote red zone threats that's hard to pin it down to one person. You could say Freiermuth because he's big, Claypool's big, Pickens is big, Zach Gentry's 8 feet tall.
That's fair.
So, I mean, we have like, 5 red zone threats. We just need to score touchdowns in the red zone.
And that is true. Another response we got was from at Deontay47. He said, Dan Moore Jr., not often you see a 4th-round rookie hold his own at left tackle. We'll love to see him take a big step and be a staple of the new offensive line.
So would I.
I agree with that. I would love to see Dan Moore take a big step and have a breakout sophomore season. I do think he obviously showed some of his rookie struggles last season, but I mean, our entire offensive line was horrendous. And so I'm honestly kind of excited to see how he's going to perform and how our line as a whole is going to do. So I hope for the sake of the breakout word that it is Dan Moore that has a breakout season. But he's definitely someone that I would like to see in that position. Nice goal.
Balled him.
And another one that I saw, or at least that I thought about, was Trey Norwood. Being our last draft pick last year, I feel like he almost became kind of, I don't know if I want to use the word steal, but he played really, really well, especially for where he was drafted.
Yeah, for the 7th rounder. Sure did.
And I was very happy with his performance. Again, a lot of growing pains, I felt like, and there were definitely things that he did that he can learn from. But if he can learn from it and get better, then I'm really excited to see how Norwood's going to do, and I obviously would love to see a breakout season from him. Your thoughts, Dom?
I mean, can pretty much just nailing it on the head, right? Not much more to say about Trey Norwood. I hope so too. I mean, obviously they feel confident in their safety class. They didn't draft any safeties. I know they picked up what's his face, Demonte Kazi, right? So they got some depth there. But Trey Norwood did play this well. I mean, he as a rookie he gave up some big plays, but he's a 7th-round rookie pick. So I'll give him some leeway on some of those plays that maybe didn't go in our favor that he was controlling. But yeah, I agree. I would also like Dan Moore to be better too, but that's just because it helps out the whole team. Nothing against Dan Moore.
Sure.
It's more just I want the whole O-line to be better.
I agree with that statement. And last but not least, just because it's a shorter episode, I only wrote 3 questions on here, so we'll address this last one. So, as you all know, the schedule was released last Thursday. In fact, Dom and I did a little, what we thought of the schedule and what we think our record will be. So I wanted to ask Steeler Nation how they felt about it, especially how they felt about, opening up on the road again against Cincinnati. So I said, the Steelers start their season on the road against Cincinnati. What are your early game predictions? And I mean early because obviously there's a lot to happen and a preseason to watch. So, obviously a lot of wishful thinking with this question. And we got a few replies. I wrote down 3 of them. The first one is from at Lexi Crutchfield. She said, well, I think our fully healthy defense will have a lot to say about it, and as well as our revamped offense. Okay. So I this is what I meant by kind of the wishful thinking, and obviously, optimistically, that is what I would hope for. It would be like, our defense plays lights out. Our offense just comes out firing because I don't think anyone's really expecting us to. Seeing already these early, schedule predictions and seeing our records or people saying that we'll be at the bottom of the division. Obviously, I don't hope for that, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how this team is going to be. And after the butt kickings that we took last season from Cincinnati, like I said it a lot last week. I think a win for me would be just seeing if we can be close and competitive with them. I think a win would be awesome. I think all those things that Lexi said. If we can have a healthy defense that just really takes it to Cincinnati and shows them, hey, we're meant to be a competitor, then I'm all for it. I'm just not personally holding my breath right now. Don?
I'm kind of negative. It's hard to make early predictions. I know you set that up already. When our offense is going through a complete change, and I hope it does go through a complete change, because I hope Matt Canada doesn't do the same BS he was doing last year with an immobile Ben, since both quarterbacks we have are more mobile than a guy who has no legs anymore. So I hope that the offense, it does look different. I understand the hype around the defense. I want everyone to understand. Okay. The defense is super good. They struggled. They were middle of the road in passing. Do you really believe our cornerbacks got better last year? Than last year's cornerbacks? Do you really believe that Akello and Levi Wallace are going to shut down the Bengals passing attack? Just a question. You can answer it amongst yourself. The run game is really good. Is Tua going to be back? Is Alualo going to be back?
A lot of unknowns.
How are they going to play? Our run defense was dead last. It's hard to say. I feel like, yeah, I know we went to Buffalo and we beat them week 1. I feel like our week 1, though, this year is going to be a lot of let's learn and grow and figure out how to play as a team for the future. And even if we lose that game, which I think we will, it's mostly about trying to get some chemistry together. And I don't think you need to panic yet if they lose that game.
I agree.
So as far as early predictions, I hope to see some flashes on offense. Hope to see some good things here and there on defense. And like Chris said, maybe the victory is keeping it close. I'll take a win. I'll always take a win. But maybe the victory's keeping it close, and that's kind of all I got right now. Hard to make predictions when I don't even know what this team's going to look like.
Exactly. Next we have at Mr_Hammers with a capital Z and a lowercase z at the end. He said, I think we need to hit them in the mouth and step on their face. Time to remind them we are still a formidable opponent. The team that uses the most physicality will be victor. I hope TJ has a day too. Kind of relating back to what we were saying before, I obviously hope this stuff happens. I really would love to be surprised and just be like, oh my gosh, we are killing Cincinnati. This is awesome. This is great. I just, I think a lot of the answers we got were just a very wishful thinking and very optimistic. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but I just think chances are low.
Yeah, pretty much. But again, we're not trying to be a negative Steelers podcast here. We're always optimistic. I'm always going to root for them to win. I'm always going to cheer for them to win. I'm going to have heart palpitations and need to go to the ER during close games like I always do.
So every game.
It's just, that's just what we're rocking with, man. It's just how it's going to be. That's okay. We're learning. We're building. This is how it's going to run this year.
Agreed. And then our last reply, which really made me laugh, but it also was basically just like probably the response I agreed with the most, and I really hope it's not this way, but the simplicity of the answer, honestly, I just thought was really funny. And it's from at Tarek_PA. It read, Cincinnati 34, Pittsburgh 13. I think that's the more realistic answer just because of how last season played out and how I think Cincinnati definitely improved with offseason pickups and the draft. But again, we'll have to see what happens. It just kind of made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, I think that's probably the more realistic answer, personally speaking.
Yeah, so again, not much to really discuss today. We're just here playing some Rocket League with the boys, talking some Steelers, talking about the team we love most. But we're excited for things to happen. We're waiting for things to happen. We want them to happen. So I think what we're going to do going forward is we're going to what we want to do is the big point of the Northern Steel podcast, us being from Minnesota, is that the Steelers are not a gate-kept team. They're not just for Pittsburgh people only. There are Steelers fans around the world and around the nation, and we would love to communicate with you guys. While this offseason is slow, we'd love to talk to you. So I think next week we're going to try to reach out to one of you and bring you on the podcast, and you can talk to us and let us know, how did you become a Steelers fan living not in Pittsburgh? What was that like? Where, have you seen a game live? Would you like to see a game live? And I think that'd be really fun. Another good way to connect to the community and kind of let everyone know that maybe Steelers is not just potentially another America's team, but a world team. Nice little cheesy button for that for you as we're getting smoked for nothing. So thank you again for listening to the Northern Steel podcast. I'm Dominic. This is Chris. Have a great week. Oh, and next week you'll be missing Chris because he's getting married.
You heard it here. Yeah, I'm getting married this Saturday. I'm super excited about it. I've been waiting for a long time. But yes, I will be on my honeymoon